Got a fun show for you today, Saints fans, but before we dive into it, got to show some love. Happy birthday, Chris Olave. Number 12 is turning 24. He was born in 2000, which is actually kind of crazy. I was just talking with producer Joey Peterson about it before we started filming, but help me show some love to Chris Olave. Like the video, type 12 in the comment section. I don't care, just show our wide receiver some love on his special day. So for today's video, I was kind of trying to plan my fantasy football team, kind of looking ahead at my draft and whatnot, and I saw Field Yates. He released his top 100 fantasy football players for PPR leagues. And so in today's video, I thought it would be kind of fun to discuss the players that he specifically had for the New Orleans Saints. Now, I will say this. We've been talking a lot about how this Saints offense is going to be very, very explosive. It's going to be much more improved than it has been in the past. So this video right here, we put it out a week or two ago. Klint Kubiak and the new Saints offense will shock the NFL. So if you want to be a smarter Saints fan, I encourage you to subscribe because we did talk a little bit about this kind of stuff a couple of weeks ago, but we're going to take a deep dive into fantasy football specifically. Not necessarily like success for the team and winning games and trying to make a Super Bowl run and all that. It's more so for your fantasy football team. So let's have some fun and let's dive into it. So the first target, hate to break it to you, don't shoot the messenger. Field Yates only had 2 players in his top 100 for the New Orleans Saints. First one was running back Alvin Kamara, who he has ranked as his number 10 running back in his fantasy football big board. And in terms of the overall ranking that Alvin Kamara had, it's number 19 for PPR rankings in 2024. And I do think that Alvin Kamara, like number 19 to me, I'm not going to say is high, but like I was kind of shocked to see it. I had to kind of take a second and be like, reminder, it's fantasy football, PPR. He does well in that kind of stuff. So in regards to being ranked number 19, I think it's kind of a decent ranking, to be quite honest. I mean, this is a player who in 2023 did have a lot of touches with 180 carries, which was tied for 29th. So not a ton of there, but he had a lot of receptions. He was number 2 in running back receptions in the National Football League. He had 694 yards on the ground, which ranked 33rd, so the production there wasn't great, but the receiving production was really, really good. So if you want a player who can receive the football, who can be dynamic as a runner and as a pass catcher, I think Alvin Kamara is a really good running back to go and target. Now, the touchdowns last year, he had 6 total. That did rank 24. I do think that he'll have more success finding the end zone this year because Klint Kubiak is going to be running the football a lot. And we know that this new offense in Klint Kubiak's scheme is going to cater towards Derek Carr, towards Alvin Kamara, and specifically towards Taysom Hill. And again, if you would have checked out that Klint Kubiak video and why he's going to shock the NFL, you would already know that. But I want to dive into this quote from a couple weeks ago, about a month ago, from Klint Kubiak. He was discussing his offensive philosophy, and I think that it's really telling in terms of what he wants to do and what the plan is for Alvin Kamara in running the football specifically. We just want to be grounded and run the ball. We want to have an identity of we can run the football against 8-man fronts. That's something we're going to stress to guys early this offseason. Building our play actions, moving the pocket off of that, being a real good team on first and second down. We're dialed in on that in phase 1 and phase 2. And Klint Kubiak knows that Alvin Kamara is not just any average running back. He's not just a guy who you can rely on 3-4 yards a carry. Maybe he'll be all right and whatever. No, this is an offensive weapon. This is a player who can change your offensive production. He's a very talented player, and he knows that he's a special kind of guy. And I believe that Alvin Kamara is still an explosive player, And I think that he still has a lot of juice left in the tank, and I think that he looks very dynamic. He looks very smooth when he's running around. I think that Alvin Kamara at practices, at OTAs, at minicamp, he was showing that he can really get things done, and he can still be a productive player in terms of the athleticism. So Klint Kubiak specifically on Alvin Kamara and his usage, I think it's going to be really fun to work with Alvin. He's got a great skill set that we can do a lot of things with. So it's just up to us as coaches at identifying those things and putting in the work. I absolutely love that from Kubiak. He continued to say he's been in multiple times talking about meeting in his office, talking football, getting some one-on-one time with him to teach the offense, getting to know him a little bit. He's a very bright player. I'm just now figuring out how bright he really is. It'll be fun to load his plate up. And they're going to load his plate up. That's why Kubiak knows he's special. He knows that he can use all of the talents that Alvin Kamara has to be an effective offense. And to be quite honest, I had to address the contract situation because that is something that's going on, and there isn't really any updates around it. So, sorry, I wish there was, but I'm not worried about it. I think that this is going to get resolved. I think this is going to be a problem that just inevitably gets figured out. It's not going to break the bank for the Saints. It's going to keep him around with the team until he wants to retire, and I genuinely think that we don't have anything to worry about as Saints fans. So I'm excited to see what AK-41 can do in this offense this year. Now, I want to ask you this question in terms of fantasy football. What round would you draft Alvin Kamara? Is he going to be a first-round pick? Is he second round, third-round pick? I mean, personally, I think middle to back end of round 2, that's a steal. I think you could convince anybody that you could take him in the second round, and it's a good pick. So for me, I would have taken Alvin Kamara in the second round, but my idiot friend took him 2 picks before me, so love that last year. So I'm going to go get him this year. But really quick, got to show some love to Chubbies. If you want to be a big-time winner, not just in fantasy football, but in life too, go get yourself some Chubbies shorts. And it's summertime, Saints fans. Sky's out, and the thighs are out too. So crack open a cold one and make any day feel like a Saturday when you use our code CHAT. That's code CHAT to get 20% off when you visit chubbiesshorts.com. Chubbies makes clothes that make every moment feel like a vacation. Now, some people like to wear baseball jerseys or basketball jerseys or fun polos or tuxedo t-shirts to show that they like to party. But for me, I'm rocking Chubby shorts, I'm rocking their swimsuits, and I'm rocking their shirts when I'm at the pool, when I'm at the bar, when I'm just kicking it back with the homies. And I've been rocking a dad bod since I was in high school, and Chubby Shorts has gear that makes me feel confident, makes me feel good, and I'm always looking fresh. They have the most comfortable shorts, swimsuits, pants, polos, and even button-down shirts that have grandma praising how well you clean up and your girlfriend wanting to get down. It's always the weekend when you're rocking Chubby Shorts, and for a limited time, Chubbies is giving our viewers 20% off here at Saints Now when you use our exclusive code CHAT. That's code CHAT at chubbiesshorts.com. One more time, the link is at the bottom of your screen, also in the comment section and description of this video. Use code CHAT at chubbiesshorts.com. Support the show and tell them we sent you. Don't blend in with the crowd. Stand out with Chubbies this summer. So the second player that Field Yates said that fantasy football players should go and target on the New Orleans Saints. It's Chris Olave, and he had Olave ranked as his wide receiver 11, and specifically for PPR, the overall ranking for number 12 is 23. He turned 24 years old. He's number 23 in the ranking, so, I mean, almost could have been pretty cool right there. But I will say this, I think Chris Olave is in for a big year this upcoming season, and in 2023, he built on a phenomenal campaign his rookie season. In his sophomore campaign, 138 targets, which ranked 12th in the league. I think that's some really good stuff. And the yards per catch, 97th, 12.9 yards per catch. I mean, he's not much of a yak guy. There was a lot of underthrows. There was a lot of plays where Carr hit him on a route and he kind of just went down or was near the sideline and stuff. So I want to see Olave be more dynamic after the catch. But I also think that the receiving yards are really good. The receptions was really good as well. So hopefully the Saints can build on what they have had in his rookie season and his 2023 year, because in 2024, this is the first year that we're going to get to see Chris Olave be the true wide receiver 1. If you go back in time, let's take a trip down memory lane. Michael Thomas is around. You're still kind of looking at him and viewing him as the wide receiver 1, and Chris Olave is just another wide receiver, like it's 1A and 1B, and Olave is the 1B, and he's just a different skill set than Thomas. But this year, the offseason is focused around getting Chris Olave the football, and I think that is really smart, and I think that the Saints need to feed him all season long. Now, Chris Olave did speak about his expectations for this year, and he said, I'm just trying to take that next step forward. I'm trying to go from a good player to an elite player. So just trying to be consistent every day and put in the work to be able to be one of the top receivers in the game. And I do believe that if you feed number 12 and he is schemed up and or his plays are schemed up for him and he has routes specifically drawn up for him and he has plays that are designated to get him the football, I think Chris Olave can be a top 10 wide receiver. And there's a lot of things that I love about Chris Olave, but these 8 things right here stand out so much to me. He has such good ball tracking skills. We saw that in all those crazy sideline catches, the one against the Lions, the one against the Packers, the ones in the end zone. I mean, he can make things happen with just his ball tracking ability. It's incredible. He's also a phenomenal route runner. He finds open space really well. He has reliable hands. I mean, this guy, in my opinion, might have some of the best just pure hands in the league. The body control is extremely impressive. He's able to contort and change his body direction in order to make the play and get the football in his hands, and the speed is so underrated. We talk a lot about Rashid Shaheed, but this guy is a burner as well, and we've seen him the first 2 years. He is a proven 1,000-yard receiver, and I know it's only been 2 seasons, but I'm calling him a proven 1,000-yard receiver because let's go back down memory lane. Andy Dalton, Taysom Hill, Jameis Winston throwing him the football his rookie season, and then you also have Derek Carr and Jameis Winston throwing him the football as sophomore. He hasn't had a true season with one quarterback that is throwing him the football all year round. And last year, he had Carr, but it was the first year with them, so you have to build the chemistry. And another thing, I think he's a very selfless player. He sacrifices himself for the play. He's going to risk injury to come up with the catch and make the play for the team. And something like that is something you can't teach, and that is one of the many reasons why I love number 12. So I want you to place your bets for me, Who Dat Nation. Over or under 1,400 yards for number 12 this season. Just give me an over or an under in the comment section. Let me know what you think down below. Now, here's my fantasy football targets that I think you should go and check out or go and target. I agree with Field Yates, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave. I also like Rashid Shaheed. I think that he is going to be a really good player as like a third option or as a bench player if you want to possibly throw him into the mix whenever one of your guys is on a bye. I think that if you have the ability and he's available on waivers, Taysom Hill isn't a bad option, especially if he is like listed as a tight end or or as a quarterback. You can kind of move him around on the roster. Depends on what your fantasy football designations list him as. But I think Taysom Hill is a really fun guy to have on the roster. And to be honest, I had him on my roster a couple times, and there was a handful of games that he's gone absolutely crazy, which is pretty cool. So also, I was just curious if you want to let me know who's a sleeper pick that you would go. I was kind of thinking about like Juwan Johnson or Kendre Miller or A.T. Perry, but I just genuinely think that the best 3 options for the New Orleans Saints, and really the best 4, these guys right here. So if you have a sleeper pick that maybe I'm missing, I want you to let me know in the comments. Now, I do want to make you guys smarter Saints fans. I told you I'd do that at the beginning of the video, so here we are. If you want to go and get one of these top players in fantasy football, if you have a premium pick in your drafts, here's who Field Yates has as his top 10 players. Christian McCaffrey, no surprise there. CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Breece Hall, and Jamar Chase to round out the top 5. And then the top 10, the rest of the guys, all really quality running backs and wide receivers. Notably no quarterbacks because obviously wide receivers and running backs are the best thing you can have in fantasy football if they're putting up really good numbers. Obviously quarterback's important too, but it's fantasy football here. So I will say this. We will be live on Friday at 4 p.m. Central Time. So if you want to come hang out with us, we're going to be doing another Madden simulation for Week 10. Saints right now are 7-1-1. That's pretty crazy to think in our Madden world. So if you want to come hang out with us and have a fun Friday and kick off your weekend the right way with a bunch of Saints fans, y'all stay golden. We'll see you at our live show.